Hello, this is Wando Bondo, and welcome to a new series that I wanted to share with you. Let's play Eador Masters of the Broken World. I've been playing this game for 6 or 7 years now, and it's a lot of fun. It's a fantasy medieval strategy game, and whenever I play a fantasy game, I always love to play the mage class. Mages are the best because you have to use cunning and trickery to crush your enemies. In this series, we'll be playing the Necromancer. So I generated a map on the random map and I used these settings. I got Dariol on Overlord. I've got custom settings, which is I've got everything to Overlord except for the starting gems is 100. So everything else is just basically Overlord. So if I just put it on Overlord, it would be all of these are the same. And then I say okay, and then it's custom because the only thing I changed was the gems. Playing on a large map or a big map on the common world, no fog of war, no diplomacy. And here we're doing as much islands and lakes as possible, a lot of land mix, as much water as possible, as much wastelands as possible, as many hill tiles blocked. So I think it puts mountains. This one's mountains and hills, which I wish they had a mountain separate so I could make a lot of mountains, but not. Then you end up with hilly provinces as well. I think these are combined. And then I put the minimum resources and the minimum locations, so that would make it a little tougher, harder to get stuff. And that's how I generated the map, and then I generated a whole bunch of them till I found what I was looking for. So then the next question is, once you generate the map, then you have to find out, how do I get a Necromancer? And I found a Necromancer on turn 2B and turn 4A. And I'll let you know what that is. So let's just go ahead and play the start. And I'll walk you through how you can do it. So the idea is that you're trying to find a Necromancer, but you can't pick the Necromancer. You can't even pick your portrait in this game. You can't pick your starting abilities. You can't pick hardly anything. So we find a shard that we like to play. It looks pretty challenging. You know, there's 5 here. We're kind of at the edge of the map. There's not a lot of second ring provinces, only 3 it looks like. So that's going to make it a little tougher to move into the second ring. And then the third ring, the same thing. We've got some blockage here. Can't get to this very easy. I'm going to try to do lizardmen. I'm going to try to do an alliance with lizardmen, I think, on this shard. And also, we can get gargoyles. So I've never tried gargoyles, picking them up right away with a necromancer for the second tier 2 units. So I'm going to try that. It's going to be interesting. We're just going to have to see how it plays out. So we could try to get a hero right now, but I know it's not going to be a necromancer. I've already been through the first 5 turns looking to make sure that we could find a necromancer, and there's one on turn 2B, and I'll show you how that works. So we're just going to go ahead and build the things that we need. We're going to end up with shamans and militiamen to start out with. So we're just going to get a militiaman, and we're going to make sure we've got a guard in case anything happens here. We don't have to worry about anything. I want to make sure that if there's some kind of undead uprising or anything happens, I want to be safe. I don't want to lose the game just from that. And we're not going to do any reloads. If we die, we die, and that's it. We're going to play, on the Overlord difficulty and no reloads. If we go into battle and we lose guys, and that's it. We got to deal with it. So then we keep going here. So this is turn 0 right here. So let's go ahead and we've done everything we could do on this first turn. And we're not playing with the Fog of War, and I do that because I want more strategy. So this allows you to say, okay, well, here's a lizard man. If maybe I need these swamps. If I can't find the slugs in this swamp to make the alliance with lizard men, well, here's another chance. So maybe I'll just keep looking here, and then I can make an alliance here. If you use the Fog of War, then that takes away a lot of the strategy of the game. You can't say, okay, well, what's my plan? You're just kind of going with whatever happens. If you're going to make an alliance with elves or dwarves, they're always in the second ring. So you could generate a map and it might not have dwarves until over here, or elves until, here's the dwarves over here. Sometimes that can be in the second ring, so the dwarves could be right here. So if you're saying, oh, I want to play a game with an alliance of dwarves, then you have to be able to see the map in order to make those alliances. So I recommend playing without the Fog of War for strategy purposes. It makes it a lot more fun. Okay, so now we're on turn 1. There's no Necromancers available on turn 1. So we're just going to go ahead and build again. And in order to get shamans, we need this. So let's get that. It doesn't give us any money or gems, which is a bummer. I want that. I want gems as much as possible, because we only get 14 gems per turn. That's why I make sure that I bump up those gems a little bit, because otherwise we're not going to. It limits your possibilities and takes away the fun of the game at the very beginning. It just makes it real tedious, and you're almost forced to get this Altar of Chaos to try to get a little more gems with this ritual. And it takes away the role playing. If you want to role play a good alignment, you can't do that. So this is a really good way to do that. That's what I think. Just get those extra 100 gems. Starting out with 500 gold and 100 gems is a good way to go. All right, so we've done this. We're on turn 1. And we can go ahead and go. And now we're on turn 2. And let's go ahead and save turn 2. And then I can show you that we can try to get a Necromancer here, but it's not going to be a Necromancer. We've got Wisdom, and so we want a Necromancer, so we have to reload the game. And I'll show you how to switch the random generator. As far as I know, there's only one option for pushing forward the random generator one time, so you get a new look at the hero, and that's this tavern. So if you go to the mercenary screen or the garrison screen, there's no mercenary yet. So when you go to the tavern, it will allow you to recruit mercenaries. So that populates the garrison right there, and when it does that, it forces it to load, or it forces it to use the random number generator, and then when you recruit, then you get then you get a second chance, and in this case it was a Necromancer on turn 2. That's why I call it 2B, because after the tavern is built. And this guy's okay, and There's nothing wrong with them, and if you want to take the first one that comes along, but I prefer a different portrait. And I wasn't really, there was 2 chances. I do this all the way until turn 4 or 5. You know, I'll check all the heroes for the first 4 turns. That gives you 8 possibilities, or first 5 turns gives you 10 possible heroes to choose from. And I choose the one I like the most. And this guy was okay, but I actually prefer the other guy. His name, it's Pendrain, and it has a different picture. The spells are about the same. Magic Arrow, I hardly ever use it. It costs 4 gems, and we're going to be short on gems, so it's not something that I'm going to use very often. Being a necromancer is all about managing your gems. So, let's go ahead and load this game. And we're going to just keep going like we did before to try to get a necromancer. So the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and build this time. And remember, don't use up this tavern because you need it. You might need it to check. You know, if you use the tavern now, then it won't work, and you won't have it to test out other heroes on other turns. You have to save it. So we're going to go ahead and we've got the shamans are going to get ready. Let's go ahead and build this library. Unless this gives us something else. No, just recruitment of shamans. Okay, so let's just build this, construct the library. And we still don't have any rituals yet, so that's the only thing we can do. And it's turn 3, it's turn 2. Right, so we want turn 3. Or we want turn 4. The next Necromancer is not until turn 4. So we're going to build this totem. Right, that means we're going to be able to get our Necromancer. Let's see how much this guy costs. 110. Okay, so that's not bad. So we're still on turn 3. And we've done everything we can here. We want to go one more turn. And now we can get our Necromancer. On turn 4, there is a Necromancer there. So if we get this, it should be Pendrain. Yes, Pendrain the Wizard, the Necromancer. And here we have Haste, which I don't really use that very much either. I'm probably going to get rid of that. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get rid of this guy. He's just going to cost us money, and those guys don't really do much. And here, we better get our shamans first before we do anything else. So we want an army. So we're going to get 2 shamans. And we'll see how they work in battle. It's tough because there's no line. I mean, you got one guy, a wizard, a necromancer is not really a great frontline unit. But we'll see how that's going to work out. It's going to be interesting. And let's see if we have enough for our school of necromancy. And we do, and we'll only have 10 gems left. So we've got enough to get our necromancy school. And we can get our spells now. Let's go ahead and take... Wow, this is a tough one. We might really not want to get a zombie, but you know, it's going to be a slow going at first because, you know, we picked low amount of places, so there's not going to be a lot of places to attack, and it's hard to, well, we'll have to see. We'll have to pick our spells based on what we've got. So let's look around. We've got a free settlement. That's good. We don't know how many are in there. We'll have to check that. Barbarian tribes. That's going to be tougher, and we got to wait on that. Brigands, that's pretty good. We can beat Brigands pretty well. Brigands, that's good, and Brigands. Okay, so this is +1 here of gems. That's what our lifeblood is. So here's +1 gems. No gems there. And +1 gems there. So we can get some gems. This is 4 cash, 4 gold per turn, 1 gold per turn, 3 gold per turn, 1 gold per turn. So that's not great. What about these lizardmen? That's +2 gems. That's good for the swamps. Gives us plus gems. That's nice. Let's see what else we have. Lizardmen, that's going to be a little tough. Got the gargoyles coming up eventually. Demonologist, that's a little tough. Cult of the Titan, that's definitely too much for us. Goblins, that might be pretty good early. We should be able to do goblins unless it's tier 2 or some kind of oddity. So that's pretty good. I'm guessing we should definitely go into the free settlement. If we go into the free settlement, we would want... We don't need this. This one is for the thief. This will take out a thief on 1 shot. Thinking this, we can save ourselves a little bit of gems. And what do we got here? Walking Dead. We could bring in a dead into the army, but it actually turns out to be kind of counterproductive because this militiaman can soak up a lot of damage, and when he dies, then we can raise him up into something else. If it was a skeleton and our skeleton died, or if it was a zombie and they died, we couldn't raise them up. So we would be stuck waiting for another. We'd have to kill one of their units first before we'd be able to raise something up, and we don't want that to happen. We want anything that dies, we want to be able to raise it up right away. So that's that. Well, I think that's the end for this episode. I think we've gone on long enough, and I hope you'll join me for the next episode. And until then, be well.